Hello, my name is Corbin Roop. I am a student at Weber State University, and in this video I'd like to show you some tips and tricks for Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. And I'm hoping to help anybody that is trying to get into coding, or new students, or people who have been using Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code for a while now and just maybe don't know some of these shortcuts. So let's get into it. To begin, let's talk about Visual Studio versus Visual Studio Code, also known as VS Code. VS Code is typically more popular, more people use it, but it is not as powerful as Visual Studio. Visual Studio has a lot more features, but most people probably don't need them. And VS Code is more kind of like a text editor, kind of like Notepad++ if you've used that. However, it is recommended for C Sharp projects and projects for Unity, making video games, that they use Visual Studio. There are more features in Visual Studio that help those who use C Sharp, and for Unity that it just makes that worth it. Some people do mention that Visual Studio has a better debugger, and for that reason alone, people believe that it makes it worth it. So really it is up to the user and what you're using it for to decide for yourself. Okay, let's first talk about Visual Studio. Right now I just have a file from my Unity project just loaded in. And let's talk about some of the shortcuts. So some of the shortcuts that I like on Visual Studio that I think are very helpful are first to comment a group of text and uncomment it. So let's just say I want to get rid of, let's say this one, this function. So all you do is hold Control K and C and then comment it out. And then to uncomment it, you do Control K U. Now it's back for use. Another shortcut that I really like is, for example, this rigid body. Let's say we just want to rename it, but we want to rename it everywhere. There's about 6 uses on this page. So all we do is do Control RR, and then that's going to highlight all of them. And let's just rename it bullet, or let's do RB bullet. And as you can see, renames all of them. Let's go ahead and apply it. Now you can see after we applied it, all of the instances were changed to RB bullet. And we can do the same thing. Control RR and change it back to just RB. And another one that I think is very helpful is, let's say we want to move this damage variable above the bullet. Press Alt and then up arrow, and it just moves it right above instead of having to select it, cut it out, enter, reformat. You don't even have to select it, just press Alt up, Alt down. Another one, as you can see up here, are using statements. 2 of them look like they're not even being used. So if you want to just get rid of them, quick and easy, hold Control R and then G, and it automatically deletes those. Let's say you accidentally messed up formatting. Like on my start function right here, I purposely messed this up, and in order to fix that, you can go through and try to tab it, but also you can just do Control KD and it automatically formats it for you. Let's say you wanted to change all of these ones to private, and without, you can't do Control RR, as you notice there, comes up with an error because you have to do a variable for that. But let's say we want to make all of these privates public. Something that you can do is hold Alt while you click and drag, and that will move your cursor to that whole section. So let's say we just want to change these. You can change both of those at the same time. Let's say you had a list of 10 items that you just wanted to change all from private to public. You could just select them all and change them. I think that's a pretty good list for now for Visual Studio. I think that's where we will switch to VS Code now, but I will put a graphic on screen and also in the description so that you can download this little cheat sheet just so you can see the other shortcuts that you may like to use. But let's switch over to VS Code now. Right here I just have an example file that we can check to see if a number is a prime number. But let's just talk about some of the shortcuts that we can use as well. And I really like VS Code. Some of the shortcuts seem a little bit better than Visual Studio, but that's just personal preference. So let's say I wanted to comment out this if else statement. We can do the same thing as Visual Studio, Control K C, then Control K U. But also, if you just want to toggle it, this also does the same thing. It's Control backslash, and then to uncomment it, you just do the same thing, Control backslash. And similar to Visual Studio that we just saw, if I want to move this line of code up, just press Alt up, Alt down. That still works. And let's say we just wanted to delete this line. We could just do Control Shift K, and it automatically deletes it. And to get that back, I just Control Z, undo. So those are some of the same ones that I like from Visual Studio and a couple of extras. I will also put on another graphic to show you the cheat sheet for the keyboard shortcuts on VS Code. But also, if you just want to see them in VS Code, all you need to type is Control K, Control S, and it shows you all of these, and you can change them right here. Just double click. I'm just going to keep that as that, but there's many shortcuts that you can do, as you can see, and you can change them here. So that'll all be it. I hope this video has helped you. I hope you're able to learn some of these shortcuts to help your coding journey a little bit easier. Now get out there and start coding.